Hi Piper, how you going today?
Fantastic. Thank you so much for having me on.
Not a worries. Thank you very much for your time. I know we've sort of had a few times where we've scheduled clashes, but
Definitely.
yeah, appreciate your time. Busy schedule. Just a bit of background on where I saw you. I saw you and I were playing at the Cambridge Hotel in Newcastle, and I walked in, and you guys were setting up, and away you went.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really, really cool. It was a good mix, like side guitar, lead guitar as well.
Yeah.
But really enjoyed the set, and yeah, and then we went from there. So appreciate it. So tell us. I go onto your Instagram, and you're all dressed up, you're all dolled up. Last weekend, you went to a variety fair.
Yeah,
Tell
yeah.
us
So
about that.
I was a scholarship recipient from the Variety the Children's Charity, and they supported me a lot with my music over the years. And so I do everything that I possibly can to give back to them because they helped me, afford my musical equipment to be able to start off with music and do things like cover gigs and have the speakers and the mixer and all of that nerdy stuff. And so they helped me with that, and they asked me to come along and sing alongside Melanie Dyer, which is another beautiful Australian talent. And we sang a song together, and I got up on my guitar, and I'm pretty I'm pretty useless without a guitar. I don't know what to do with my hands, so it was great to get up there with that. And yeah, we sang, and it was the Variety of Chefs Gala night, which had some amazing pro chefs come, and they cooked us a course each, and it was wonderful to sit back and enjoy. There was a silent auction as well. We nearly snagged an espresso machine, but we were outbidded, so pretty rough for us.
Yeah. And tell us about that Cambridge gig. I mean, you and my
They're absolutely excellent. Yeah.
how that process was. It the same booking or same agency, or how did that all come about?
So I'm a fully independent artist, so I'm really lucky that I connect and work with many different agents, many different venues around, my hometown of Newcastle and, around and beyond. But
Mm.
with UMI, I was really lucky that Big Apache has been supporting me, and Big Apache are behind so many different things. I could just go
Yes.
on, and they've supported me since my early years in music. I've been doing it for 6 years now, so not as long as other people, but I'm still learning as I go. We all are. But I did some cover gigs at their venue called the Wickham Park Hotel, and
Come on.
they are absolutely wonderful. And they said, "Oh, we're going to give you the opportunity to the management of UMI, and if UMI and the management like you, then you're going to be on." So it was all up to the music and all up to the management, and they said yeah, so it was very exciting.
Is that the first time that you've played with UMI, or the second time?
That was the first time, but I originally
Right.
had the show scheduled for January with them, but unfortunately COVID had to postpone it, and we were worried it wasn't going to go on at all, but really lucky that we came back with the July show.
Gigs ready lined up for you.
Yeah.
So tell us how it affected you as an independent musician.
I mean, I really don't know where to start with it, to be completely honest. I've had my personal battles with COVID, and everybody's had a different story to tell. But
Hmm.
mine was I was really really lucky. I didn't get stuck into lockdown until I think it was August officially of last year. There was a couple of little bits here and there in March when COVID first started coming into play in 2020, but yeah, I was really lucky that in the town of Newcastle where I am, we just did everything possible to be able to keep performing. And, even when I was stuck not doing gigs and during that time of sticking in the house and becoming closer and closer to insanity, I did some online gigs, and a lot of pages on Facebook and Instagram came out of the woodworks and said, come onto our page and do a live video and, just
Yeah.
try to do anything to cheer up everybody else. And
Hmm.
and music makes me happy. And if I can do that and make other people happy, that's all you can ask.
So yeah, I was just saying that I went back to Newcastle in May of 2022, and I put my mask on to go shopping with my dad, and my dad said, "What are you doing? That's crazy. You don't wear a mask anymore. That's so 2020." Yeah, so the restrictions in Australia have got a lot looser, and I think that's great that everybody can sort of get on with their life and live a normal life. COVID's like another cold, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I definitely think it's important for everybody to stay as safe as possible. But I mean, at some point, we're all going to have to learn to live with it and get on with life. And it's great that we're all thinking positively about doing that.
Yeah. Did you have any gigs there where you actually, because I heard that some musicians during that time, they weren't allowed, the crowd wasn't allowed to stand up during the performance,
Yeah.
and they weren't allowed to shout because it would, you know,
There was
did
so
you
many
have that
things like
experience?
that. 100%. So, when we weren't allowed outside, as I was saying before, we were doing the online concerts and anything possible like that. And I actually, when there were still restrictions in place, I actually set up in my driveway, and because you're still allowed to do exercise in your 5 kilometer radius of your house, and so I walked along and I put pamphlets in all my neighbours' letterboxes and said, "Come out and sit on your driveways, and I'm going to perform." And I got my gear out and I fully faced it out into the street, and everybody came and loved that. But in terms of gigs and actually, performing in venues again after that big change, people weren't allowed to dance or sing or shout, as you were saying, stand up unless you were going to the bathroom. And I mean, it's quite strenuous because you're going out to have a good time. There's all these restrictions, but I mean, it was a stepping stone of coming back to normal, and I'm still lucky that I could play when I could, and I still can now. So, despite all of that craziness, I'm glad we're back to full force now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I hope that for the rest of the world they can sort of have this same sort of philosophy as Australia does, because I think it's working. All right, just a quick review for 2022 for you, Piper. What are some of the highlights so far for this year?
There's been so many, to be completely honest. I'm really lucky to be where I am and be doing my original music more so this year. It's been my big focus. I released my first lot of music last year, my first EP, and coming into this year, I knew that I wanted to focus on that more. So starting in January, I had some big shows planned, like UMI. Unfortunately, it was rescheduled, and we didn't have to focus on that. It was quite crappy. But so after January, had its lull and everything was sort of cancelled out, I started the year off properly in February with my first band gig. And I played it at a local festival around the Newcastle region. And it was wonderful to be able to come back and see everybody singing and dancing along. And it was great to see the support from original music as well. And that, just started my year off like on a high. And I just knew that that's what I wanted to be focusing on more. And so in March, I went to the Grove Studios down in Central Coast here in NSW, Australia. And it was really wonderful to be able to get back into the studio and revisit, the whole band vibe in the studio and learn all of these new techniques with a new producer. And his name's Matt Fell, actually. I should touch on him because he is just absolutely wonderful. Matt, he's been in the industry for years and years and years, and I'm really lucky to have him on board and for the first single that came out in June, and we'll touch on that in a minute. But so he has been absolutely wonderful to work with and taught me so much about, changing a song and pushing it to be the best version of itself. And it's been really great to learn that. And so at the end of March, coming into April and then early June, I did a tour of that song before it came out. And so I played in cities, from Sydney to Tamworth to my hometown of Newcastle, and I opened for a lot of different artists, some big highlights in there, some Aussies would know Russell Morris, opened for him. then some American household name called Robin Ford. He's absolutely wonderful blues guitarist, and it was a pleasure to meet him in the band. So that was an amazing experience, and something that really immersed me in that blues and rock more so than everything, and it helped me to evolve again this year into being more of I would say a genre fluid artist, because I love to, you know, incorporate elements of blues and rock and, you know, even a little bit of country, folk, a little just everything. So it was wonderful doing that, and I released the song in June, and it was great to be able to finally have a new song, Baby Into the World. My last release was in September of last year, so it took a long time for me to get back, but it was so great to be, you know, in the industry again.
Yes,
so I
absolutely.
did that, and July came around and the UMI show, which was wonderful, and I've been super busy planning the next couple of months. And at the end of July, I had a co-headline show with a beautiful friend here in Newcastle, and it was great to see everybody come out and love live music and dance and just be in the moment. So that's where I am at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a quick list of some of the people that you've performed with. I've got down here Diesel, Kasey Chambers, the Black Sorrows, Richard Clapton. That's just to name just a few. So they're pretty top high in Australia. All right, so let's go back to where you were born. So I do believe that you were born in the Hunter Valley. Is that right?
Yes, so I've been born and bred in Newcastle, and I've travelled a lot with music, but other than that, I haven't really left the Newcastle area for my entire life. But I look forward to getting out of the region and expanding with my music very soon.
So tell us about growing up in Newcastle, and were your mum and dad sort of influences on you and music growing up? Were they a part of the entertainment industry, or?
Well, mum and dad never actually did music at all. I mean, they dabbled in high school when it was, you know, a little bit easy to access. But my dad originally, he was born in Melbourne, but my mum and him met on the south coast of NSW, and it was a big love story, high school sweethearts. And so they moved all around and ended up in Newcastle, and it was, you know, they've been very supportive of me and my music, and I'm an only child, so I'm really lucky to have their full attention. But,
so where did all this music ability come from then, if your parents weren't involved in this sort of industry?
It's a bit of a mystery, to be honest. But my dad does play a few chords on the guitar, and he taught me my first 3 chords. And, you know, with those 3 chords, it sort of unlocked something in my brain, and I just stemmed from there. And my mum loves singing around the house. She's always been the biggest fan of karaoke. And so it's
a good start.
yeah, great start with those 2. And I began playing guitar from when I was 10 or 11, so a little while ago now.
So when did you sort of realize that, you know, this was what you wanted to do? Like, was it very early on where you started singing in choirs or in school?
Well, I actually never did music in school, actually, so I kept my music completely separate. Yeah, I'm fully self-taught and fully, you know, I've been singing since I was a tiny tot and things like that. And when I picked up the guitar, firstly, I thought, oh, this was really fun. I'll try and see how good I can get at this, and did a couple of live performances. But it wasn't until I was probably 13 that I decided that this was going to be something that I really want to focus on for my career. You know, I used to be really academic, and I used to want to put that first. And, you know, I still strive to be the best in every aspect that I can, but music is always going to come first for me now, because that brings me so much joy.
So in the future, like, is there a backup plan? Like, if you said you're very academic, like, is there any other thing, or is it just music, and then after that we'll figure something out?
Just music for now. I'm living
Okay.
it in the moment and thoroughly enjoying it. You know, I have a massive bunch of music family, I guess you could call them, that are all around the country, and I really hope to catch up and cement those connections and make more in the future years, and hopefully travel overseas as well.
Yeah. And music in Newcastle, it's something that I'm pretty passionate about. Like getting live musicians from Newcastle and sort of pushing them. I've just seen over the years that there's lesser venues in Newcastle, and I mean, there's always going to be people coming from Newcastle, but then if you want to sort of make it, then you might have to go to Sydney or Melbourne to get signed or do an album. So, with your opinion, like you know, you're playing regularly in Newcastle. What is the music industry like in Newcastle, and can you survive as a musician there?
It really depends on what you'd like to do. You know, I've only taken this first step of original music this past 1.5 to 2 years, and I've been really lucky. You know, I'm only 17 at the moment, so I'm still living at home and, you know, getting as many experiences as I can under the belt. But I have a lot of my friends are quite older, and it's great to see them doing what they want to do. The music industry in Newcastle is something that's very, very warm and caring. We're such a big
Yes.
family, and that goes for every place, every person. But I think to be able to have your own success and feel like you've made it in whatever right that you feel is worthy for yourself, I think it's important
Yes.
to just believe that it's definitely not a competition, and every person is
Yes.
different. So there's always going to be a place for someone. And as long as you focus on that and you just put your head down and just keep working. I've worked for everything, and I pay for everything myself, and I always strive to have the independence in my career and in my life. And I want that to shine through, and I want to connect with people with that. So as long as you know, working hard, putting yourself out there and making sure that you know that everybody has their own path, and your time will come. I think that's the only thing you can do, and you can define your own success.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. And the one thing that I liked about you doing research on your, Piper, was that uh, you were busking, yeah, all these pictures of you busking, and then you'll get a gig, busking,
Yep.
busking, busking, busking everywhere, and going up to the Tamworth Country Music Festival. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but I just really liked how you just got out there. Like,
Yep.
it's obviously it's a definite passion, and more and more people are going to see that, how passionate you are, and with your music, and you know, I hope for bigger things to come. Is that what your plan was at the start, just to play anywhere and anywhere?
I really didn't know what I was doing, to be completely honest, at the start. I definitely knew that I wanted to reach as many people as possible, and I found that was the most easiest and the most accessible with getting a busking permit and contacting whether it's markets or venues or places like that and being able to busk. And
Is that difficult? Sorry,
it's
Piper,
definitely
is that difficult?
no,
Is that difficult at all?
it's I mean, you got to go through the paperwork, and the paperwork's, you know, hard yakka, but but I think busking, you know, you got to find that passion, and if you have that love for it yourself, that's what you got to focus on, because busking is a lot of highs, but mostly a lot of lows, and you really have to be prepared to put on a performance. And someone that says this best is Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. He always says, no matter if there's one person in the room or 100,000 people in one room, to always put on your best performance. And that's what I always strive to do. And that's how I started out busking and went from there.
Tell us about the first gig that you actually played, or the first time you actually did a performance. I'm always interested to hear about this. And did you get paid for it? Tell us that experience.
So my first ever live performance of, you know, me singing and playing the guitar, you know, what I would classify as my first professional performance was an open mic night. And oh gosh, it was in June. It was the 1st of June, and I distinctly remember that because it's my mother's birthday. And if I forgot that date, oh, I wouldn't hear them.
You're in trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was probably 6 years ago, 1st of June, and we had a dinner to celebrate her birthday, and it was wonderful, great time, and it was just the three of us, my mum, my dad, and I. We went into this small place in Newcastle called the Hood Milk Bar, and we wanted to just grab a coffee and just sit back and just take in the night and what a wonderful day it has been for the three of us. And we realised that there was an open mic going by a man called Harry Hookey, and he actually did a lot of stuff with Kasey Chambers, if that name's familiar to anyone. Absolutely. And so Harry, was performing, and my mum was dancing along to a cover that he performed, and he actually asked her to get up, and she said, "Oh gosh, no way." But my daughter actually plays and sings, and so I eventually got up on his guitar and I played a song by Angus and Julia Stone. And so, yeah, I was 11, and I just distinctly remember being so nervous. There was about 10 people in this big room, and, you know, it felt like the world was at my feet after that one song. Harry played harmonica and sang along as I played his guitar and sang this tune that I just had been playing in my bedroom.
Yeah, right. And what music were you listening to at the time? Like what influences at that stage, like early on?
There were so many different influences, and I think it's always changing. But at that time,
yes.
I mean, probably some of the biggest ones were people like Angus and Julia Stone. Absolutely loved them. I was getting into a lot of Missy Higgins. I was getting into John Mayer. Keith Urban's always been a big one. I love his energy, and I just love his whole vibe. His guitar playing is amazing. The same as John Mayer. And so
I think the Keith Urban's guitar playing is extremely underrated. I think he should get more accolades for his guitar playing. But,
he's fantastic. Yeah. And to you know, I've only just been recently shown that they've done a couple of gigs together, both John and Keith. So that was wonderful to see as well.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really cool. All right, so let's go. So you're playing away. You played your first gig. You're doing busking, and I just noticed too, like that. Wasn't just Newcastle. You were traveling every weekend, like so. Were your mum and dad were like, okay, come on, let's go, or were you the one sort of egging them on to sort of help you to travel to all these places,
Well, yeah, I think it was a bit of both parties, because mum and dad have always loved supporting me. You know, they used to travel to take me to public speaking competitions or spelling bees. You know, I'm an absolute dork, so I started off with that, and that sort of gained my confidence of going in and doing live music performances. And so I was always, you know, wanting to find any opportunity, and mum's absolutely a Facebook thing. So she was on Facebook and finding all of these places, and I said, okay, let's do that. And so we'd always apply, and you know, the best thing you can do is ask the question. And a lot of people were really into supporting emerging talent, and the more that I went out, the more that I found supporters, and I found friends in the industry, and the more open mic nights, it was better to find people that had a little bit more knowledge in the industry that could help me and understand not only the entertainment side, but the business side, and making those networking connections.
Yeah, absolutely. And like for equipment, and especially even now, I saw like a picture of you, and you're in this room full of guitars. How many guitars do you actually have at the moment?
I actually have not counted, to be completely honest with you. I just look at them and I just, it's ridiculous. I'm very proud of my collection, but I've recently just gotten a new guitar this year. It's a Vox Bobcat, so it's an electric guitar, and you would have seen that at the Cambridge Hotel that night in early July. That was its first ever performance, so that was really exciting. But I also have an original series Stratocaster. I have a Telecaster that I play my slide guitar on. I have my Maton acoustic guitar, and let me tell you, Matons are elite. My goodness, I would not be anywhere without that Maton guitar. It's been I've had it for 3 years maybe, and it's been with me just about every gig. There's only been a couple of gigs that I've played fully electric this year, because I've been getting more into band music, and, you know, developing my sound with the band. And, you know, there's just been so many guitars that have come and gone, and gosh, I wish I could have them all and just store them I was talking to my best friend about it. When we are a little bit older and we're absolutely rich, because that's definitely going to happen. We just keep manifesting in our brains. But we're going to buy a house, and we're going to, instead of having a wine cellar, we're going to have a guitar cellar downstairs. That's
nice.
Yeah.
Like a little museum of guitars.
Yeah, absolutely.
and like we're jumping ahead a little bit, but is it because of the sound of the guitar or how it looks? Like are you getting more involved in the sound, or you just go, oh yeah, that I like that?
I mean, there's still so much debate about what's the best guitar, and I don't think that anybody will find the best guitar, because there's so much variety in the world, and everybody has their own valued opinion. But with me finding a Maton guitar, I absolutely loved the one that I have now, because it has a different wood on the top than you know, a regular 808 Maton. It has a cedar wood top, which makes the tone nice and warm. And I love that deeper, warmer sound in comparison to something with blackwood or something, you know, other than that. I'm not going to get into too much talk about woods and guitars, but but yeah, so I definitely look and consider that. I look at the pickup. I have an AP5 Pro, which is quite great for Matons, top of the line for the Maton guitars at the moment. But so many different things. I mean, the quality of the strings, there's the and then you get into electric guitars, and that's a whole other world with, you know, the type of wood for your body, the type of finish. Oh, well, I mean, that's just preference. But then you look at the wood on the fretboard and the neck, and, you know, the headstock, and then you look at the different pickups, and goes on and on. But specifically for the Maton, I absolutely love that one, because it had that warmer sound. My voice gets quite loud, and I can go down quite low and sultry, and, you know, I'm quite deep and raspy. So I love that can complement me in a way.
Yeah, it's all about your choice. Like whatever sounds good. Like some guitars on you feel really heavy, and then some are really light, and then if you want to be running around, then you can't have this super heavy Gibson. So yeah, I use 3 or 4 guitars on stage. So yeah, it just all depends on the song and the
100%.
I want to talk about, let's go back to your early days. I come up here saying Byron Bay busking camp. Tell us a little bit about that.
So it was the Byron Bay busking competition that I was in a couple of years, and the first year that I went in it, I'm trying to remember, it was a while ago now, but I was into the heats, and I went up to Byron Bay to the youth centre, and I performed, and I got a spot playing at the food court at Byron Bay Blues Fest, which was so thrilling for me. Oh, it was so exciting. And then the next, or it wasn't the next year, but a couple of years after, I went back and I decided to go in it again, and I actually got into the finals. I was in the top 3, and in that top 3, the busking, I was the only female and the only soloist. So the rest were boys and bands. So I was very excited that I had that opportunity. And so I was in the finals, and unfortunately, some other people took it out, but I had a performance at Blues Fest. So that was absolutely wonderful.
And it says here you did an hour set for that final as well. Is it an hour set?
I'm trying to remember. It was a while ago now, but
But if you were going to do a 1 hour set, what would you play? Like, was it still covers at that time, or were you actually sort of
originals? Yeah. I was definitely getting into more of the originals, and you know, I wanted to showcase my sound to Blues Fest because I think that would be, you know, a great place to show it. I mean, there's every festival and every opportunity possible would be a great place to show it. That when I was, you know, starting to get my my credits up, I really wanted to push myself and really try something new. And of course, I did have covers, and it's always great to have 1 or 2 covers in the set. But I was definitely pushing more for originals and finding my own sound.
So for a set that you do now, is it primarily just originals? Do you still throw a cover in every once in a while if it's a longer set?
Well, speaking of the most recent band gig I did, I had 1 cover in an hour set, and it was wonderful, and we just chucked it in for a bit of fun. And you know, it's something that could be quite transient. You know, for the next gig, we'll probably change it into something else, and that's completely cool. But I absolutely love my original music, and I really wouldn't want to be doing anything else. So it's definitely the primary list is my original music, especially the stuff that I've released. And people sing along to that now, which is wonderful. And testing the waters with new songs and seeing what people like and what I should record next.
Yeah, absolutely. Well done. And then we come along in your sort of like the starting your career, and then I saw that you got your first gig at Lizzotto's. I mean,
at Lizzotto's, yeah.
Yeah, Lizzotto. Sorry, you know, you're doing something right if you're starting to play gigs there. So tell us about that experience, the first time playing there.
The first time playing there was for a live and local night. So that was where 3 acts would get up and perform. There'd be a solo, a duo or a trio, and then a full band. And so I started out there, and luckily enough, with the performance that I had there, the owner of the venue, the wonderful Byron Lizzotto, he came up to me and he absolutely loved what I did. And so he wanted to book me. And so I opened 2 nights for Johnny Diesel, which is his brother. And so it was absolutely wonderful to be able to meet him and learn so much from him on and off stage, and to be able to play to an audience that's willing to hear, you know, a couple of my songs and a couple of covers. And I absolutely love turning covers into my own arrangements. So it was very quirky, but the audience was absolutely beautiful.
At Lizzotto's, it's everybody sitting down and clapping, but then you're playing with UMI and everybody standing up and cheering and clapping and dancing. So do you have a different set for these particular shows, or do you sort of stick with the same one?
Well, I actually create my set list for band performances. It's in advance, and I talk to the band, and we usually have a couple of extra songs in lieu so that we can read the crowd, because it's always great to read the crowd.
Yes.
And that's you know, with solo performances, I actually get my set ready before my performance. While I'm in the venue, I look around at the crowd, and I you know, sort out my set list there and then. It's either on a serviette or a coaster or a piece of paper, anything like that I have around, because I like to feel the moment and I like to see what the crowd's doing.
That's really cool. Tell us about the Tamworth Country Music Festival. For those people who don't know about the Country Music Festival, it's one of the most popular events every year in Australia. People, not only just in country music, but all styles of music go up there to celebrate it, and then they give out the Country Music Awards. So you've had a lot of involvement the last couple of years. So tell us about your experiences with the Country Music Awards.
Yeah, so I've been going there for 4 years, and so this year it was meant to be one of those magic January gigs that didn't happen, but it got postponed. In the festival, it was in its 50th year this year, so
wow.
They moved it to the April, and so I had my first ever Tamworth Country Music Festival headline show this year. So it was really wonderful to be able to make that happen on the 50th year anniversary and be able to, get some people out to listen to some live music. And that festival is what it's all about. As you said, people of all different genres, and it was really wonderful to do that. It was my first time at the Golden Guitar Awards, which is the big award event. And so I got to walk the red carpet and I got all dressed up fancy.
Come on.
I love doing.
Yeah. And one of the big promoters for original music in Newcastle, which I think is great, is 1233 ABC. I've seen that you've been interviewed by Paul, who I know very well through cricket and through other things. So what were those experiences like? I've seen you went there and you've played on the radio a couple of times. So tell us about those experiences.
It's been wonderful, and the team always looks after me. And I've had a couple of experiences going in there with a friend, or whether it's solo and doing performances and chatting about what's next, what's been happening, left, right, and centre. And it's always a fun chat. And actually, Kaya Hanley from the radio actually came up to my Tamworth show, and she actually she was talking to me, and we had a little bit of an interview. As soon as I stepped off stage, she came and grabbed me, and we did a little thing for her podcast. So it was very fun.
That's really cool. That's awesome. Are you getting used to doing these interviews now?
It's lots of fun. I absolutely love meeting new people and chatting about life. But yeah, it's great because sometimes I surprise myself with what I say.
And you never know what's going to happen. You know, who's going to listen to it, who's going to see it.
Absolutely.
Who knows? The one thing that really made me get a smile and make me happy was one of the videos that you had on Instagram when you went into the competition for the New FM Star Award.
Yes, the New Star Award. Yep.
Yeah. So tell us about what that was all about, and the little video that you had on there on Instagram.
So the New Star Award was something that a radio station in Newcastle, and it's had several different categories, I believe, from creative arts to music to sports to community to everything. And so you were able to nominate yourself, and once you got into the finals, then you could invite people all from social media, from text messages, absolutely everything, to get online and cast you a vote. And the person, or the child, I should say, with the most votes at the end of the voting round was considered the New Star winner. So I was really lucky. I got everybody on board for that, and I won the New FM New Star Award, and it was very, very fun. Thank you so much.
And what was the prize? Did you get like a recording studio time, or what was the prize for that?
Everybody got a small little a tablet to be able to use and to go on, and it actually helped everybody because whether it was with academic studies or something with music like myself, or helping out to-do lists, to apps, to writing, to left everything.
Right. So I wanted to talk about Marcus and Big Apache.
Yes.
How have they helped you with your sort of musical career so far?
So I started off doing cover gigs in the Wickham Park Hotel venue, and that's how Marcus found me. And it was wonderful to establish a relationship with both him and Aaron, the two biggest hardworking people that you've ever seen. And they're always on the go, always doing something, and always trying their best to help out other people. And so I originally started doing the cover gigs and working my way up there. And Marcus actually asked me to do a couple of concerts there. So in conjunction with other musos as well. So I did a concert for the Big Bushfires Fire Band.
Oh, cool.
So that was an inaugural festival that happened a fair few times. And just across the road, there's the Wickham Park, which obviously the hotel's named after.
The Wicker. Is it still the Wicker? Just the Wicker?
Yeah. It's the Wicker, yep. And so I was over in the park, and they asked me to perform at the toy run as well. So that was great to be able to do that. And over the years, we've established a really great connection, and they've asked me most recently to do UMI, but also to be a part of the Sound Station Music and Arts Festival, which they're holding, and the Screaming Jets are headlining that. So that's going to be great fun in the end of August.
Come on.
And yeah, so there was actually a band competition going ahead for that, and they asked me to come on board and help judge it. So that was lots of fun as well.
Really cool. Yeah, the Jets, come on. If you don't like the Jets from Newcastle, there's something wrong. That's so cool that you get a chance. Yeah. All right, so let's go into your originals. Was it always the idea to bring out singles first rather than bring out a whole EP or a whole album?
I mean, it always changes, and I think with social media the way it is now, the easiest way to catch people's attention and catch an eye is a single or something like that, until you are that next level of an established artist. And so I actually started out and I released 2 singles off of an EP last year. So I gave people a little bit of a taste to get going, and then I released my EP in September, and the EP went really great, and I'm really, really proud of it. So it was wonderful, and it was a lot of hard work to be able to put out 5 tracks and just say to people, hey, I mean, I have 5 songs, you should listen to them all right now.
Yes. Yes.
But in the end, I've been really lucky that I've been in the industry for a few years, and so I've really tried my hardest to get the fan base, friends, family, and beyond to get more and more keen for the music and keep that line going and the suspense before I did release my first lot of music.
Okay, so with your first with the first EP, how are you writing the songs? Are you writing the songs by yourself, or do you write the song and then you get the other musicians to come in? And then the second question is, how do you choose the musicians that you play with?
Well, so the musicians that I played with on this most recent recording as well as the EP, I've had them both in on the sessions because I just absolutely love them, and I've built a connection over the past couple of years. But I met them at an open mic night, and I got up and jammed with them, and we really dug it. And so we traded contact details, and I started doing gigs with them. And they're like all my big brothers now, and they're doing amazing things for themselves. And so I've started to make new connections and started building a band for myself because they're off touring and doing more things for themselves and starting families and all that grown up stuff.
Yes.
But with my music, I mean, I always write from heart, no matter if it's a fake story or not. I always write with the emotion that comes to me. And on the EP, I have 2 songs that I had co-written. And it was really fun to try something like that and try to collaborate with different styled artists. And so the first track and the second track were co-written, and both artists living in Queensland, funnily enough. So one was written over lockdown.
So tell us about this. So is the first one May the 3rd haunting your thoughts?
Yeah, so I wrote that with Sammy White. She's an artist living up in Yeppoon in Queensland, very north Queensland. And so she's been wonderful. She was living in Newcastle at the time, and we decided to get together on Valentine's Day, and we wrote this really, really mean, badass song on Valentine's Day.
So are you sort of writing like the guitars, like, and how does it start? Is it a riff or a melody for you?
I think it's different with every song, and with that song I had a couple of lyric ideas written, and I had the basis of a verse started. And so she took it from there, and she said, I flicked through, and I played her a couple, and she said, this one's really good. I'm loving this. And so we started that, and we changed a couple of things. And I mean, I always love writing the music to it. There's just another creative beam inside me that lights up, aside from lyrics, where I can create the music, I can create the riffs, I can, you know, do that sort of thing. And now that I'm getting a little bit better with my guitar as it goes on, and I'm able to play more lead work, and I'm able to do my own solos and things on stage, I feel like I have a little bit more confidence in doing that for myself. And then I, you know, when I do get into the studio, I bring that to the band and say, hey, here's an idea, let's work on this more and see if we can, you know, get this to be the best version of itself.
That's really cool. Have you ever been taught with your singing, or is that natural?
Well, I've mostly self-taught myself, but I mean, I did a couple of singing school fun little things when I was quite younger, with the dance and the singing and the posing and all that sort of thing, but never really professionally.
Right. And then you had Before the Thunder. Tell us about
Before
this
the
one.
Thunder. So that's a song that I wrote. I remember I was sitting on the floor, and the very corner of my lounge, I had one of my writing books. I have several around the house. Just whenever I get inspiration, I just pick the closest one up to me and start, you know, writing or singing or playing. Yes. And so with that song, I had a specific story going on in my life that I just needed to get out on paper. And a lady that I know, she was trying to take something from me, and she didn't really deserve it, and she didn't work hard like I did for it. And so that was a song saying she's a little bit ahead of her time, and she wants the rain before the thunder.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So before this, I saw this one or two photos. You're sitting in a hospital, and you'll have to explain it to me because I don't know too much about it. Mm-hmm. You had mouth surgery?
Yes. So after I went into the studio in 2020 to record these songs, in early of 2021, in January, I had a cleft palate surgery. So I was born with a cleft palate, which meant that I had no roof of my mouth when I was born. And so when I was 18 months old, I had a couple of surgeries to fix that up. And as I've been growing, and I'm singing so much, and I'm a very loud person, so my palate has stretched a little bit, and it just wasn't closing correctly. And so we just corrected that and just slightly repaired it. So I'm singing and I have the closure, and I'm able to project with ease, and I'm able to sing and have more control. And so that took a long time for me. That took from January to March. I had off of music.
Yeah.
And it was so difficult for me to be able to get back on board, especially after lockdown. Everybody was out playing again, and I had that extra time off, and so it was difficult. But I wrote a lot of songs in that time.
Right. That's I'm glad to hear that it all went well, and you're back fully fit fighting.
You.
And I don't need to get personal, but will you have to have like another one in the future, or is that no more?
We're looking. It definitely won't be anytime too soon. So I just gotta have to keep monitoring it and keep looking after myself and looking after my voice in the best way possible, and not hurting it, because the voice is a muscle. So always using it and keep training it. So
singing too loud and proud, Piper.
Absolutely.
So I also see that you're on like is it the MP3 charts, or is it the Apple charts?
I did. My EP did go to the top of the iTunes charts. That's
there you go.
What we're having a look at. But so the EP on release day and the day following, it went to #1 on the alternative album chart and #2 overall. So it was very exciting. I've got a screen recording of it on my phone, and so you open to iTunes, and you know my EP was at the top next to Ed Sheeran and
wow.
And Kanye and all those artists, and you know, new releases on iTunes in Australia by Butcher, and it was insane. I was so stoked about it, and you know, to be sitting on top of the alternative charts, and you know, on top of Lorde and Billie Eilish, Dua Lipa, all those people, And I thought that they'd be all pop, but apparently they're alternative. So I had a lot of competition.
Right. Yeah. What is alternative music now? Yeah, it's very interesting.
Absolutely.
It's a wide spectrum. So yeah, as you said, September come out in September 2021. Who would have thought? And you've been pushing it like really hard. I've noticed that you're getting lots of gigs. What is it like the next step? Do you plan to do something similar to that for this year, like in terms of bringing out singles, then bring out an EP, or what are the sort of plans now?
I'm doing a couple of singles at the moment, and I'm really looking forward to getting back into the studio because my sound just is always evolving. And with the EP that I did, I recorded it in December of 2020, and I didn't release it until September of 2021. So it was a long time for me to just be sitting on that material because I wanted to be in tip-top shape after my surgery to be able to sing the songs to everybody and actually take that out and sing it to everybody, as well as being, having it available to buy. So I had to wait on that time, and it took a long time. And my sound had evolved since then. And that's the thing with this year. I released a song in June of this year, and I recorded it in March, and it was great to be able to have it out so close to the recording date. And people do it in the blink of an eye, but I absolutely loved it. And I've got another one coming out very in the next couple of months. So exciting times.
Excellent. And are these recordings? I saw that you had a vinyl of it. Is that? And
yes, it was very exciting. I got 10.
How cool is that?
Yeah, 10 limited edition vinyl presses of the 2 songs from the EP. And so there was one on each side, and I actually got everybody to go into a draw. And if you were coming to one of the shows, you went into the draw and you sent me a screenshot of something. Gosh, I don't remember anymore, but sent a screenshot, and I actually drew the prize. And someone got a limited edition vinyl, and then I've given a couple to everybody that worked on the EP. So it was wonderful.
That's really cool. And is it still available, or the
EP is available everywhere. The vinyls were the limited edition, so they're not available anymore. So there was just the 10 copies of that, and they're all distributed to everybody, which is super exciting. But the EP is available on Bandcamp to be able to purchase, as well as live shows. And that's the easiest way to help me out as an independent musician. But if that's not your bag, then there's also streaming, iTunes, absolutely everything like that as well.
Awesome. Plans for the future, and what gigs do you have coming up?
I have lots of gigs coming up. It's so very exciting, and so many that I actually can't talk about yet.
Oh, I see that. I see it.
Yeah.
I see these like videos, and I can't tell you, but I'm really excited. Like, you'll have to keep watching.
Absolutely. No, it's hard to keep everybody on that little
that's it.
string.
Yeah.
But
what can you tell? What can you tell our podcast? Talk Radio Story.
August is going to be great. I'm going to be opening for Cav Temperley from Eskimo Joe.
Wow,
which is
that's
going to be
cool.
Yeah, I'm super excited for that. And I'm actually doing a local gig at a place called Five Sawyers in Newcastle, which I started out there, and it's just going to be great to be back and in that environment again, where they were one of the first venues that encouraged my original music. And so I can't wait to be back there and play more and really showcase how I've evolved since last time I played there. And at the end of the month, there's going to be Sound Station Music and Arts Festival, as we were talking about earlier, put on by Big Apache. And then in September, I'll be turning 18. So I'm going to have my 18th birthday party, which is actually a music festival that I've put on at the Wickham Park Hotel. So it's called Bout Time, and it's got 6 acts, I believe, 3 soloists and 3 bands, including myself. And it's going to be so much fun. And then I've got Blues on the Mountain on the Central Coast at the end of September, which is going to be a full Blues Day festival. And it's going to be with PJ O'Brien and Ray Beadle. And then I've got more and more coming up. And I just could babble about it all day. But That's me in a nutshell, and I'm just going to keep going. And social media is definitely the best way to find out what I'm doing next.
And tell us about that. Where can we find you, Piper?
My name is Piper Butcher, and that's the easiest way to find me. You can look me up on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I suck at Twitter, but I am on there. If anybody has free lessons on how to go viral on Twitter, I'm all ears. But
and all the major streaming services,
yeah, all the major streaming services. Absolutely everywhere that you can think of. And if you don't have anything, or you don't know how to search me up, you can actually Google my name, Piper Butcher, and Google comes up with all my links and says Piper Butcher's a musician. Ta-da! So that's very exciting as well.
That's awesome. And international touring?
Oh, I'd absolutely love to. My passport is very close to being done, so we're just a couple of weeks away, hopefully, and we can start planning for what's next overseas.
So I think the US will be right up your alley, and I think a lot of fans will be really into you, like Nashville and that sort of
Yeah, totally. Nashville and Memphis and LA even. I would take any opportunity I could to go overseas, and play my music to any crowd, no matter the place or the people. It'll just be so exciting to be able to travel and learn.
Awesome. All right, Piper, before you go, I'd just like to do like a little your top 2 or 3 favorite things.
Okay.
All right. So first question is, who are your top 3 favorite Australian musicians or bands?
Ooh.
As of today.
Okay, so I absolutely love Ocean Alley. They're an awesome psychedelic rock band, and I've been listening to them for years. It's just absolutely wonderful to hear their music. Every time they release something, I get so excited. So I definitely couldn't put them in a 1, 2, 3 order, but these are my probably top 3. Thirsty Merc would be another one.
Oh,
absolutely rocking. So good.
I noticed you played a few gigs with them as well.
Yeah, I did get to open for them, and it was wonderful
cool.
meeting them. And I did a masterclass with the lead singer Ray Thistlethwaite, and it was wonderful to get that from him. Favorites. This is so tricky. I'd have to go with someone like Kasey Chambers, just because she's been such a big influence on me personally. And, I've been able to sit with her and learn so much from her one-on-one, and to be able to see her in person and hear her sing as authentically as she can, it's such a big inspiration and one of my favorite things to watch.
Yeah. And 1 or 2 up and coming, besides yourself, musicians that we should look out for in Newcastle?
Oh, Newcastle musicians. There's an amazing band called The Appointments, which is going to be playing at my music birthday festival, Shazam.
Come on.
I absolutely love them. They're reggae, rock, psych, and they're just so groovy and so fun to be around. Great people and great music. And another person would be Kingsley James. He's absolutely wonderful, so soulful, and he has a bit of everything in his music, and it's just great to just sit back and watch him, take the power on stage and really pour his heart and soul into every song he sings. So definitely 2 to watch out for. That's
really cool. Your top 2 or 3 favorite all-time movies?
Shrek, definitely. My goodness. I would go Shrek. I would go The Proposal, Ryan Reynolds and Sandra Bullock. Amazing movie. A third. I'm trying to think. I mean, I love my Marvel, but I couldn't just choose one. So if I could say the Marvel Cinematic Universe as my third,
it's like every time you open up like the app to go to the movies, there's some Marvel movie there. So
absolutely
very, very, very popular. Books. Your top 2 or 3 favorite books that you've read?
I actually was just thinking about this. My all-time favorite book, and I'm so glad you asked me this because I've been dying to tell someone, is The Owl and the Pussycat. It's the cutest little book. Yeah. It's my absolute favorite of all time. My second favorite would probably be a book called Onions in the Stew. And I actually haven't even read all of it, but I went into a furniture store so many years ago. I was probably I was under 10 years of age. I was very, very small, and I saw this big bookcase, and there was all these dull books, but this old yellow binded book stood out to me, Onions in the Stew, and I was wondering, what the hell is that? And I was so obsessed with it, and my mum and dad went around the whole furniture store, and they were looking at everything else, and I just sat and I just looked at this book, and I just wanted it, and I didn't even know what it was about, and I did not even know, but it turns out it's a life story about a lady called Betty, and she actually moved to an island on the outside of America or something like that, or maybe it was in Europe. But yeah, so I actually started reading it, and I didn't understand any of the words when I was like 7 years old. I was like, oh my God, these words are too extravagant for me. Still a great book. I love it. But the furniture store person said, yep, you can have the book. So it's been one of my favorites. That's definitely top 2.
That's awesome. Last question. Who is your greatest inspiration / hero, and why?
Oh, that is a good question. That is a great question. I think definitely the easiest one to sum up in a small amount of time, and please don't get me wrong, I have so many influences, but my main one that I could easily say would be Dave Grohl, because he's the one that kicked me off into stepping outside the box. And I went and saw a concert of the Foo Fighters years ago now in Sydney, and I remember him saying in the middle of the concert, hey kids, I want you guys, if you want to do music, to get into the shed and make noise. Just make noise. And I was like, okay, Dave Grohl is basically telling me to have a music career, so of course I'm going to follow his advice. And so I went in, and that really inspired me to find my own sound and step out and try some new things. So that would be one of the biggest inspirations for me.
Yeah. I remember a great quote that he said with American Idol, and he said that if he went on there when he was starting out and he got voted off straight away, him as a kind of like a little shy guy, he probably wouldn't have played music again. And then there would have been no Nirvana, no Foo Fighters, no all these other bands that he's been a part of. So he just said, get in there. Yeah. Like you just said, get in there, put some, get any way that you can record, just
absolutely
put it in and be happy and make friends and do it.
Be open.
Yeah, and have fun. I think that's a great way to finish it off there, Piper. Thank you very much for your time again, and good luck for the future. You're amazing talent, and hope I can come back to Australia and see more of your performances.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been a joy.